guys ready? Okay.
Good morning. Isn't it awesome to be here in our sanctuary? Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the South Hills, also known as Sunnyhill. We're delighted you could join us for this service. Our mission here at Sunnyhill is to create a more just and compassionate community within and beyond our walls. My name is Bradley Convis, and I'm grateful to serve as a worship associate for this congregation. If you're joining us online from home snuggled in your jammies, please say hello or good morning in the comments on the Facebook or YouTube feed. We'd love to hear from you and extend a welcome to you. If you're a newcomer or visitor to our congregation, please go to sunnyhill.org and click on the button that says New to Sunnyhill to receive more information about our congregation and to receive our weekly email news blast. A gentle reminder to everyone who's here in person, if you have cell phones or other electronic devices, please silence them now so that our time together is not disrupted by buzzing or ringing. Today is our annual Music of the Season service, which we celebrate holiday-themed music for the many spiritual themes related to the winter holidays and this time of year. It's going to be great. I love this. Our opening words were written by Maureen Killeran. No one is really ever ready for Christmas. If we were really all prepared, if every gift we had contemplated had been obtained, if every present was beautifully beribboned, if all the goodies and friends we deserve, that our friends deserve were baked and cooled and stored just so, if each and every person we love was gathered for our celebration, if we never snapped at someone we cared about or stopped short of being all that we could be, if our minds were 100% loving and our hearts were 100% generous, if they truly would be ready for Christmas. And truly, we wouldn't need Christmas quite so much. So come, Christmas, the most needed of seasons. Come with the reminder that love does not depend upon perfection, but on willingness to risk connection. Come into the unruly manger of our hearts that we may feel the warmth of new life and give flesh to the promise of hope that cries to bring healing into our world. Come, Christmas. Come, love. Come, hope. Be born in our unready hearts. We're going to light our chalice today with these words by David Breeden. In this holiday season, throughout the year to come, and always in our lives, may we know that we are loved, may we share the love we have, and may we be the love we wish to see.
Good morning. It was getting dark, and the weary travelers needed a place to sleep. It's almost 70 miles between Nazareth and Bethlehem, and Joseph and Mary were making the long journey that was required of them in order to pay taxes to the Roman Empire. It was a long journey for everyone, but Mary was feeling each mile a bit more than some, as she was about to give birth. And she was oh so tired. But there was a blessing. One of their neighbors in Nazareth had offered them a donkey for her to ride on the long trip. Kindness can make any journey a bit easier. The trip to Bethlehem wasn't the only journey they were on. Mary and Joseph were on that exciting, sometimes nerve-wracking journey toward parenthood. It had been 9 months since the angel Gabriel had appeared to Mary, asking her if she would carry this child, this Son of God. "Here I am," she had said. "Let it be with me." And so with her consent, which is hopefully all children come to be, Mary was pregnant. And there was another blessing, her dear, sweet Joseph, who believed her, who had faith in her and in God. Faith can help when times are confusing and difficult. And there in Bethlehem, this young couple was blessed with generosity, a place to stay. They were given space to rest until their baby was born. It wasn't fancy, but it was warm and it was safe. Out in the fields, there were shepherds watching over their sheep. It is said that angels came, announcing that a child was born. Now, I would guess that shepherds don't always feel super important. They might not always remember that they matter, especially when they're out in the field at night. But on that night, there was a blessing. The angels came and sang, and they not only felt hope hearing the birth of this little baby, but also remembered, at least for that night, that they were each precious. And a new star rose in the heavens, telling of the birth of one who would bring a message of peace, one who would bring change, one who would be called a king. Far away, wise ones heard of the star. They went to King Herod to tell him that a new king had been born. Herod was jealous and afraid of what a new king might mean. And so he sent for them to find the baby. And though the stories say that they traveled to find him, there was a blessing. The wise ones felt compassion for this family, and they chose not to tell King Herod what they had seen. And as Jesus was held and rocked and snuggled and fed and sung to, there was a blessing of love and wonder. There they were, all the people and animals gathered around a new baby, caring for him and one another, resting in that amazing love. Over 2,000 years later, we retell the story of Jesus' birth and of his life and teachings. And there is a blessing, a possibility of a better world. This possibility arises when we remember that we are all connected, when we choose kindness, faith, generosity, when we remember that each one of us matters. The possibility for a better world happens when we practice compassion, when we allow our hearts to be changed by love and wonder. This Christmas and every day, may you be touched by such blessings and share them with all you meet. Thank you.
For those of you who don't recognize him, this is Elliot Poland, who's going to be singing Wine and... Hey, everybody.
I really like Christmas. It's sentimental, I know, but I just really like it. I'm hardly religious. I'd rather break bread with Dawkins than Desmond Tutu, to be honest. And yes, I have all of the usual objections to consumerism, to the commercialization of an ancient religion, to the westernization of a dead Palestinian press ganged into selling PlayStations and beer. But I still really like it. I'm looking forward to Christmas, though I'm not expecting a visit from Jesus. I'll be seeing my dad, my brothers and sisters, my gran and my mum. They'll be drinking white wine in the sun. I'll be seeing my dad, my brothers and sisters, my gran and my mum. They'll be drinking white wine in the sun. I don't go in for ancient wisdom. I don't believe just 'cause ideas are tenacious, it means that they're worthy. they're freaked out by churches. Some of the hymns that they sing have nice chords, but the lyrics are dodgy. And yes, I have all of the usual objections to the miseducation of children who in tax-exempt institutions are taught to externalize blame and to feel ashamed and to judge things as plain right or wrong. But I quite like the songs. I'm not expecting big presents. The old combination of socks, jocks, and chocolates is just fine by me. 'Cause I'll be seeing my dad, my brothers and sisters, my gran and my mum. They'll be drinking white wine in the sun. I'll be seeing my dad, my brothers and sisters, my gran and my mum. They'll be drinking white wine in the sun. And you, my baby girl, my jet-lagged infant daughter, you'll be handed round the room like a puppy at a primary school. And you won't understand, but you will learn someday that wherever you are and whatever you face, these are the people who make you feel safe in this world. My sweet blue-eyed girl. And if my baby girl, when you're 21 or 31 and Christmas comes around and you find yourself 9,000 miles from home, you'll know whatever comes. Your brothers and sisters and me and your mom will be waiting for you in the sun. Whenever you come, your brothers and sisters, your aunts and your uncles, your grandparents, cousins, and me and your mom will be waiting for you in the sun, drinking white wine in the sun. Darling, when Christmas comes, we'll be waiting for you in the sun, drinking white wine in the sun, waiting for you in the sun, waiting for you. Waiting. I really like Christmas. It's sentimental, I know.
Good morning, by the way. Good to see everyone here. This is a time in our service where we share joys and sorrows that have been submitted by members of our congregation so that none of what we're celebrating or mourning needs to be held alone. After each joy or sorrow that I share, please respond by saying, "We hold you in our hearts." Sorrow from Jessica Ellsworth. Jessica says, please send well wishes and prayers for my furry family member, Minnie, who I believe is Jessica's cat. She became incredibly sick last December and almost passed away, but has been doing extremely well. She had an episode this week, and we have to go back to Ohio State University to see her doctor and possibly a neurologist. To Jessica, we hold you in our hearts. A joy from Bethany and Jay Thornton. The Thorntons will be celebrating their 20th wedding anniversary this Tuesday. So to Jay and Bethany, we hold you in our hearts. A sorrow from Randy Green. One of Randy's friends, Robert, who lives in Robinson, contracted a breakthrough case of COVID after having been vaccinated and is currently in the hospital not doing well and may not make it. To Robert, his friends, and family, we hold you in our hearts. Finally, a sorrow on behalf of all of us. The recent storms and tornadoes that have ripped through much of the country over the past week or two have left many people without homes or power or water at a time of year when many were hoping for some measure of comfort and joy. To all those affected by these extreme weather events, we hold you in our hearts. Please join me in the spirit of meditation or prayer. We pause now to be still in one another's presence, to be still in lives that race in endless circles, to be still in the midst of the holiday merry-go-round, to be still in the madness of too much all around us. We are here now, physically or virtually together in this space, as we breathe the peace and love of this moment. And as it passes, this moment and this moment. We pause now for a moment of silence. The busyness of this season calls for stillness, as dry, parched land calls for water, as lost souls call for guiding stars, as cheeks call for tears. May we remember the stillness at the center of that which moves. May we regard with care the light of this moment. May we act with compassion toward all and all else. Amen. In an issue of the journal Philosophy Now, philosopher Nathan Radke makes the case that the Peanuts cartoon character Charlie Brown is an existentialist. Much like the characters from the writings of Jean-Paul Sartre, Charlie Brown is an authentic anti-hero. Radke writes this about Charlie Brown. He is alone both physically and emotionally. He is alienated from his peers. In desperation, he looks to God for comfort and hope. Instead, his angst overwhelms him and manifests itself as physical pain. There is no comfort to be found. Radke also puts forth Linus as another existentialist. He writes, at Christmas time, Linus dictates a letter to Santa questioning the validity of Santa's ethical judgments regarding the goodness or badness of the individual child. What is good? What is bad? Asks Linus. Good questions, says Radke. And I think he's right. There's a sort of existential gloom that pervades much of Charlie Brown's world. But that's only one part of the story. Another part is the music. Vince Guaraldi's wonderful soundtracks for the Charlie Brown television shows convey not only a sense of seasonal melancholy, but also great joy, and at times wild abandon and playfulness that stand in stark contrast to the existential angst of being. This time of year, when nights are long, it's easy to get lost in a haze of moodiness and dark thoughts, especially when we realize that the reality of the holiday season never really lives up to our expectation of it. And this year, as we've just passed the mark of 800,000 COVID deaths in the United States and countless disruptions and delays in our everyday lives, not to mention social, economic, and political unrest, we are especially mindful of the ways in which reality might not meet our expectations. But then, as I said, there's the music. Not the awful shopping mall music that starts up around Halloween now every year, but the real music that's made in community with others. The carols, the children's school concerts, the church choir cantatas. In many ways, this music is the meaning of the season. Because music, if we are open to it, has the power to lift us and remind us that there is another possibility besides darkness. It is the possibility of light, the light that slowly begins to return when we have made room for it in the darkness. And so it is we celebrate the music of the season today, for it is music itself that might answer Charlie Brown's existentialist query, isn't there anyone who understands what Christmas is all about? The piece that our trio is about to play, Christmas Time is Here, captures both the hoped-for promise of the season and also suggests the sense of melancholy that is inherent in this time of year when things never quite seem to live up to our expectations. And there's more. By the way, I'd like to thank our trio. We have a guest bassist with us today, Anton DeFade. Anton DeFade on the bass. On drums, our own John Pollock. And, of course, on piano, Buddy Rigger. As described in America magazine, when A Charlie Brown Christmas debuted 56 years ago, on December 9th, 1965, CBS executives were so sure it would fail, they informed its executive producer, Lee Mendelson, that they were showing it only because it had already been announced in the TV guide. The magazine article goes on to say, much about the success of A Charlie Brown Christmas did defy common sense and continues to do so today. Consider its pacing, for instance. Charlie Brown was one of the first animated holiday cartoons, appearing just 1 year after Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And yet, unlike Rudolph, in Charlie Brown, very little happens. The special opens with a long, almost meditative take of children skating loops on the pond, the wistful original song, Christmas Time is Here, which we just heard playing in the background. Many of the scenes that follow have a similar fragmented, ephemeral quality. Kids talk about Christmas cards, their list for Santa, they throw snowballs, they dance, they talk some more. There is an almost documentary-like verisimilitude to the project. Charles Schulz, the creator of Peanuts, and animation director Bill Melendez capture perfectly that peaceable aimlessness, that numinous timelessness that many American children experience during the holidays, their lives hushed like the landscape under a thick blanket of snow. And Charlie Brown was way ahead of its time in exploring a subject, Christmas as being something less than completely joyous and happy for children, that had not been allowed or encouraged in the past. As Caitlin Flanagan wrote in The Atlantic recently, Charles Schulz had what Maurice Sendak had, respect for children. He understood the way they think and feel, not the way adults want them to think and feel. He understood that there's a point in children's growing up when Christmas doesn't work its magic as reliably as it once did. Schulz let them explore a taboo subject, Christmas time unhappiness, while still reassuring them that Christmas is good and fun and a wonderful thing. He also insisted that there be no laugh track, saying that if the children found it funny, they would laugh. And he insisted that children, rather than adult voice actors, read the dialogue. Schulz also insisted on making the show go deeper than most Christmas specials in exploring, even for children, perhaps especially for children, the idea that there was more to the holiday than the shallow, commercialized, secular aspects of the celebration of Christmas. Author and priest Richard Rohr wrote, "What makes something secular or profane is to live on the surface of anything. It's not that the sacred is over here and the profane is over here. Everything is profane if you live on the surface of it, and everything is sacred if you go into the depths of it. So the division is not between the secular and the sacred, but between the superficial and the profound." What Charles Schulz was trying to accomplish with A Charlie Brown Christmas was a vehicle for taking viewers from the shallow, profane surface of the season toward the sacred, sometimes forgotten depths that are at the heart of Christmas and give it real and profound meaning. In doing so, Schultz broke another taboo, bringing up material that was specifically religious in the context of primetime television, which I'll discuss in further detail in just a moment. But first, we'll listen to our trio play another piece from the show, Vince Guaraldi's arrangement of the old German carol O Tannenbaum. And we're not letting them go quite yet. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, it was the explicitly Christian aspect of A Charlie Brown Christmas that most worried its creators. Again, as described in America magazine, the most problematic element of the show was Schultz's decision to build the climax of Charlie Brown's search for the true meaning of Christmas around Linus's proclamation of the Gospel of Luke's nativity story. Much like today, to discuss religion publicly was considered fraught with hazard. When animator Bill Melendez first heard about it, he thought it was a very dangerous place to go into. There were no religious cartoons at the time. Animation was an entertainment, not a church service. Melendez told Schultz, "We can't do this. It's too religious." But it had been the religious dimensions of Christmas that had drawn Schultz to the project in the first place. Producer Lee Mendelson remembers Schultz explaining it to him, "If we can talk about what I feel is the true meaning of Christmas, it would really be worth doing." He told Melendez, "Bill, if we don't do it, who else can?" As you'll recall, at the moment in the show when Charlie Brown is in the deepest, darkest part of his existential crisis after having been disgusted by the commercial aspects of the holiday and after having been mocked and shunned by the other children, he cries out that line, "Isn't there anyone who knows what Christmas is all about?" And that's when Charlie Brown's best friend Linus literally steps up onto the stage and says, "Lights, please," and recites the nativity story from the Gospel of Luke. It only takes about 39 seconds. But during that time, the entire mood of the show changes, going from disgust and despair to an ancient articulation of faith and hope in the form of the birth of a baby. It's one of those crystal clear, sacred moments in the midst of anguish, noise, and confusion. But the real religious power and message of A Charlie Brown Christmas is contained in the scenes that occur after Linus's tidings of great joy. After that mic drop moment, Charlie Brown, temporarily liberated from his sadness, tries to decorate his pathetic, molting little tree. The placement of a single red ornament causes it to buckle, leading Charlie Brown to believe that he has failed once again. "Everything I touch gets ruined," he says, abandoning the tree and the TV screen. But then, again as described by Caitlin Flanagan, the real magic begins. The other children show up. They have spent the entire half hour either ignoring or making fun of Charlie Brown, calling him a blockhead, telling one another he's not the kind you can count on to do anything right, in a pitch-perfect imitation of gossiping adults. But when they see that wilted little tree that he cared about sitting there near dead and alone, their hearts are moved. "I never thought it was such a bad little tree," says Linus. "It's not bad at all, really. Maybe it just needs a little love." He takes his security blanket, which he has until now repeatedly refused to let go of, except for one moment when he's reciting those scripture verses, and wraps it around the base of the tree. The others remove ornaments from Snoopy's now award-winning decorations, and together they transform that ugly branch into something that is still simple but somehow beautiful. They gaze at it silently for a moment, then softly break into song. Flanagan concludes by saying, Today, the chances of selling a Christian-themed anti-commercialism Christmas special would seem just as slim as they were in the 1960s. But more challenging in the present than either of these options is Schultz's vision of a group of sweet but also self-centered, adorable but also kind of mean individuals allowing their own self-interest and sensibilities to fall away before a humble, fragile life. To see with clarity that no matter who stands before them, they aren't so bad, really. They just need a little love. Therein lies one of the true messages of Christmas, the profound and sacred meaning that lies beneath the profane and shallow surface of the holiday. In the face of despair, in the face of inward suffering amid outward glitter and glee, in the face of crass commercialization and cruel commentary, what brings us hope is just a little love. Inspired by the story of the birth of an infant, inspired by tending to that sad little Christmas tree, we all discover what the world cries out for, that what each of us truly needs is that little bit of love, and that we are the bringers of that love into the world at a time when it is sorely needed. I hope and pray that each of us might remember this holiday season, this deeper and more sacred aspect of the holidays, not to push away feelings of grief and despair, but to envelop them with compassion and life-giving, life-affirming love. May it be so. Amen.
It's time for our morning offering. Today's designated offering will support the Unitarian Universalist Disaster Relief Fund, providing aid in the wake of recent storms and tornadoes. The Disaster Relief Fund disperses grants to UU congregations and affiliated UU entities affected by natural disasters. Those supported by UU disaster relief grants have reported feeling held in care and more connected to other UU congregations. If you'd like to make a gift via our online giving system, you can do so one of two ways. You can go to sunnyhill.org and click on the button that says Online Giving, and then follow the instructions. Once you get to the drop-down menu, please choose from either Designated Collections, if you're giving toward the UU Disaster Relief Fund, or 2021 Pledge Collections for payments toward your pledge. Or you can give by text at 412-324-3130. Just dial that number using your smartphone and follow the instructions. You can also mail by check if you prefer, and you can find our mailing list on our website at sunnyhill.org. For those who are here live today, we'll be passing the basket around to collect any contributions. Thank you very much for your generosity. please join me with the words for extinguishing our chalice. For those of you who remember, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
As the choir comes up, they're going to be doing our closing music today. I just want to thank a few people. Definitely our musicians for today, our jazz trio and our choir, and everyone that helped get them prepared. I want to thank Jeff Vipperman over here, who has stepped into a lead role in technology for our facilities team and has been doing a tremendous amount of work behind the scenes trying to get our audio and video streaming up and running properly. We have kind of a complex system here. And of course, Mary and Jason Pratt, who's sitting back at our computer today, have done a lot of work too. So thank you. The band's going to play us out as we're leaving, but that's it for today's service. Thank you all for being here. If you haven't already signed up for Christmas Eve services, we do have the RSVP system up and running for that. Just to let you know, the 5 p.m. Christmas Eve service, we're going to have our usual no rehearsal children's nativity pageant, which is always fun. And the 7 p.m. service this year is going to feature Kevin Harvey, who some of you may have recalled from a couple years ago. He's the son of Bill Harvey, one of our people here, who's going to be singing a version of O Holy Night that, please believe me, will leave you in tears. So that's 7 p.m. on Christmas Eve. Also this Wednesday, we're having a longest night service featuring the music of Leonard Cohen. And this is for anyone who's not feeling all that jolly these holidays and needs a place to just sit in quiet for an hour. That's this Wednesday. Thank you all. Go in peace.
Amen.